Rachel.
Hi, Brittany.
Welcome back to it used to be listeners, and now it's viewers, which is really exciting because
exciting.
We have a new version of the podcast, and we have a new beautiful co-host. So welcome to the show, Rachel Mills, everybody. Say hi, Rachel.
It is so delightful to be here. Hi, Rachel. So new year, new podcast, new host, everything.
Everything.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited.
I think so too. I'm very excited. So today we usually do, welcome if we have a new co-host. So today we're going to do the same thing, but it's kind of fun because it's also a welcome to the new format of the show. So we're very excited. For those of you who've been listening, over the last 4 years, you've heard my voice, but you've probably never seen my face. So this is very exciting. I live in real life.
But, you're a real life person, not just a disembodied voice.
But Rachel, let's get to know you a little bit. So what brought you here? What brought you to these wonderful principles of liberty?
Oh, well, I'm a longtime libertarian. If you want to know how I became a libertarian, the story that I tell is I became a libertarian at 12 years old. When I was on the mission field, I spent some time on the mission field in Haiti as a kid. And in contemplating why some countries are rich and some countries are poor, I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, obviously, because I was raised in the States and then came to this third world country, lived there for 3 years. I came to the conclusion that it was property rights. Property rights is what creates the foundation for capital and prosperity. So, and I also noticed that property rights can be undermined by both public and private sources. And that public sources, meaning the government, is especially insidious because once the government starts to really steal property and undermine business and the economy, then there's such a thing as capital flight. And I saw that in action before I
back you up real quick because I want you to define the word insidious. It was a pretty big word. What is insidious?
Ooh, insidious. Like evil and powerful and sort of penetrating. It's a good word. I love words.
It is a good word. And you said capital flight. Is that what you said?
Capital flight.
Can you tell us what that means?
So what I noticed as a 12-year-old is, for example, in Haiti, there were Care Bear factories and baseball factories and rum factories and all kinds of factories that made things. But when the government stepped in and started to take over those factories and say, hey, you got to play by our rules, or hey, we're going to actually take over your operations and make it so you can't make any profits anymore, then the owners of the factories would leave. And then the factories would be shuttered, they would be mismanaged, and, then you don't have a factory anymore and all those people lose their jobs.
So I have two things to say to that. First one, if Care Bears aren't around anymore, and I don't know if they are, ask your parents about them because they were awesome. I loved Care Bears.
Stuffed animals. They're like teddy bears.
A very cool TV show. I loved the TV show. And second, so it was a lot of government regulation, right?
Yes. And the government in Haiti was and is still very corrupt. So they would require things like bribes, like you have to pay them money in order to operate and own a business, operate a business. And that's a big problem when you're trying to run a business with profit margins that makes money. It's very difficult when you have government thieves who steal under the color of law. And it's very difficult when you have like actual thieves who will break in and steal things, and then there's no police force to enforce the law and protect your property. So both of those things are very problematic. And so property rights, rule of law, I notice that that's the real difference. Now, in the United States, we have our own problems. We're not perfect as far as, government corruption, public theft of property in the form of taxation and other means. It's not perfect, but it's better. If you have complaints, go to a third world country and you'll see what I mean.
So my next question that I like to ask everyone who comes on the show is what your favorite book is. And this doesn't have to be like a political book or even economic book, and it can be both. You can pick both. But what is your favorite book? If you had, you were trapped on an island and you only could bring one book with you, what would that book be?
Oh, wow. Can I pick two?
You can pick two. I'll allow it. I'll even
I'm
let
going
you
to pick two.
Okay.
I'm going to pick, it's not a very politically correct book anymore, but Gone with the Wind.
Which one?
Gone with the Wind.
Oh, yep. I'm reading that right now, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I love that book because I'm a history buff, and it really, I read it also as a 12-year-old. A lot of things happened when I was 12, probably because I was homeschooled at 7th grade.
Ooh, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot, I think. But it just showed that history is very nuanced. People are not perfect. And imperfect people can be especially interesting, as is the case with Scarlett O'Hara. She's a very complex and very interesting heroine. My other favorite would be Les Miserables by Victor Hugo.
That's a great book, yeah.
And then I'm gonna pick a third one that the libertarian audience will like, and that is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
I've never read that one, and I've said this before in past episodes, but I've never actually finished Atlas Shrugged because it's just so long. It's a very long book. But yeah, Ayn Rand, we did a whole episode about her in the past. I think we'll probably do another one. I think a lot of us have read her. She was important to a lot of us.
Yeah, and I learned a lot about architecture. I learned to really appreciate architecture in reading that book too. So, yeah.
That's exciting. Tell us about, you are a mom.
I am a mom. I have a husband. We've been married for 23 years now, and we have 2 boys. Should I say their names?
That is completely up to you.
I'll say their names. They are Parker and Wiley, and they are 12 and 14. So
sometimes I like to pretend I'm Rachel's third child and come stay in her house.
Yes, that's our little joke.
Rachel and I have been friends for a very long time. It's fun. So, and there are almost teenagers now, aren't they?
Well, Parker is a teenager, technically speaking. He's 14. Yeah. So we're entering those years and starting to think about high school and things like that. Now, Parker goes to public school and Wiley is homeschooled.
And how do you like homeschooling?
I love it. And it is right for Wiley. It is where he needs to be. It's perfect for him. And we've been trying to convince Parker to do the homeschooling thing too. But he likes where he is too. So we have a pretty good school system. We're actually the number one school system in Florida. So as far as public schools go, I think this is probably as good as it gets. So I have my feet in kind of both worlds there.
And you are in, I don't know if you said it already, you're in Florida.
In St. Augustine, Florida. That's where I reside.
And we both have similar color headphones, which is fun. That was not planned.
Oh, yes.
That was not planned. So you talked about property rights being important. What is your favorite thing to talk to people about? Like when you meet somebody on the street and maybe you strike up a conversation about what's important to you, what is that? Or maybe you're trying to, I don't want to say you're going and trying to say like, you should believe what I believe, but if you're talking to someone and you're really trying to help them see why individual liberty and individualism in general is such an important thing, like what's your pitch? What's your elevator pitch? What do you lead with?
Well, because when we grow up, we all want to be treated like grown-ups, right? And that's ultimately what liberty is about, and libertarianism is. You don't want to be infantilized. There's another good word. Infantilized means being treated like an infant or a child. When you're a child, it's appropriate to be, kind of monitored and controlled to some extent while you're learning the ropes and learning your own independence. But once you become an adult, I think it's every human's right to be an adult, to make their mistakes and achieve what they can achieve. So it's like it's the reason we're here. It's the reason humans exist, is to give life our best shot and do what we can do, find out what we can do in this life. And when there's too much government control and too much just oppression over our lives from outside forces, you can't do that. You can't achieve your full potential. So I think it's very important, and it's very foundational to me.
And Rachel, what topics, we have a couple, about a minute left here. What topics are you most excited about talking about on this show?
Oh, everything. I want to talk a lot about education, about, I guess, parenting, but from the perspective of the kid, because I know we're talking to a lot of kids. We are a family podcast, but parenting in the context of the libertarian family, and is there a word for kidding? Like parenting and kidding, and just how families get along in a libertarian context.
And conservatives, we've got an umbrella of people who listen to our show. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say I come more from the conservative side. A lot of libertarians, they come from either the left or the right. I would definitely say I'm a right-leaning libertarian.
And I shouldn't just limit it to saying we have conservatives and libertarians. We probably have all sorts of people listening to this podcast. And that's what we like, right? That's what we like. Back in the day when Rachel and I were both real big Ron Paul fans, listeners have heard me talk about this before, it was a really exciting time because you had some people on the left and people on the right, and we all just wanted to end the Fed, and we were so excited about it. But we'll save that for another episode. Go on.
Yeah, we found so much common ground. I mean, the Ron Paul campaigns were, it's like a big happy family.
It really was.
I'm hoping that the political landscape can kind of rediscover that, and I have a feeling that it might.
I'm hoping.
I feel it going in that direction.
I kind of feel that way too, but I guess as this podcast unfolds over the next year, maybe we'll get some indication. All right, guys. Well, we will leave it there. So happy to have you guys back for the Way the World Works podcast. We're excited to, I was going to say see you. I can't see you, but you can see us, and that's exciting. So please don't forget to like and subscribe and share the podcast with your friends. And until next time, Rachel, we will talk to you later.
It's been my pleasure. I'm looking forward to getting to know our audience better and having a great time.
Bye.